Okay, welcome back. We did the tracing in the other video. You can see that here. Now we're going to work on the cutting of the video. So I'm going to get my board out, strop board, my knife, and we're going to strop it. Okay. Then I just wipe it off. How you go about cutting it, that's a personal thing. I usually start from the border and work my way around. And you can see I've got my knife really closer to vertical because the more blade I've got in the cut, the easier it is to track straight. And at times, talking can distract me when I'm cutting. My family has a rule: if the door is closed and I'm tooling or they see me tooling, they don't interrupt. Because one, miss or a real bad swerve in a cut, you could have lost a lot of time invested. So, and you may be different than me. I just have a hard time. I've got to focus. How many of you remember Kingpin? If you do, you'll remember that line: focus, focus, focus. It'll also tell your age a little bit. I like those old slapsticks. They were equal opportunity offenders. You take Mel Brooks. If you've ever watched History of the World, that would not float today. I just find by tooling this first, the border, it helps me get a feel for the leather and for my knife again. Oop, see right there? Luckily that was inside, so that'll get beveled down. And you saw just what I was talking about. I was running my yap and thinking about something else, and I messed up. Okay. Let's see if we don't do that again. The outside, like the bumper and everything, I'm going to cut these pretty deep. Closer to the third or half. And you can see I spin it a lot. because if I can't see where the blade is going, then it makes it harder. So don't be afraid to spin your work. Once I get right here, where it comes up on the fender, I'm going to lighten up, because relative distance is less. And here, I'm going to cut, but not as deep as I did here. And one of the things that I do is I pretty much do everything with this knife. I don't have a fine knife and you know, finish cut knife, decorative cut. I do everything with this one. And I was lost when I didn't have it, because I was searching for a knife that would, I'm just used to this one. It and I have put a lot of miles together. Now I'm going to come up here around the outside. I'm going deep. And you can see I'll tilt it back a little bit when I start making corners, so I have less blade in the leather. And sometimes I'll go through and I'll do the perimeter first. Some people will say work from this point, the closest, and then work backwards. Yes. Sometimes I just like doing it this way. And the thing is, once your piece is done, who's going to care or tell that you didn't cut the way that, people think you should? They're just going to look at the finished piece and go, that looks pretty good. Or it looks like crap. One of the two. You're hearing our boy. He's swallowing in the background. He does a lot of talking. And here again, I'm pushing real hard. Because I'm going to push this back to give more depth. This is where I really want to get that depth. Right in here, I'm not going to cut as heavy because I'm going over the body. So I'm going to go lighter. And then once I get outside the body, then I'm going to start pressing harder. Same thing here on the bed. I'm going to go pretty hard on the inside. I'm not. Sorry about bumping the camera, but it's kind of like right in the way, but it gives you a good view. So you'll have to bear with a few bumps. And you're going to learn how deep you should cut in different areas. If it's running over, like right here I might cut a little bit deeper because this fender to the body is out a little bit more, and I've got to miss that mark, so I've got to fix that. Okay. Pencil and tracing. Not tracing. There we go, tracing. Okay. Poo. Yeah, in that case, I'm just going to go here and come up. And I'll be beveling that down a little bit. That's what's frustrating sometimes about this. In the tires, like right here, where it's in the air, I'll go deep. But then when it comes down here to the ground, right in here, I'm running lighter. On the ground, I'm not cutting that deep. In the tire, I'm not cutting real deep. Then when I come back here, I'm light where the tire contacts the ground. And then I'm going to start pushing heavier where the tire lifts up off the ground, because I want to get some depth in there. And I'll carry that depth up through here. And you can see I'm spinning my leather a lot. I'm starting back a little bit of the cut that I finished, so it will start its track again. These are tight cuts. Sometimes I won't do those until I cut a little bit to get the feel and kind of get in the rhythm again. Here I'm cutting pretty deep to where I get to the tire. Where I get to the tire, I'm going to start cutting lighter, because I'm not going to bevel as deep. Here, I'm going to cut a little bit deeper and then lighten up, coming around this corner, and then join the two lines. You're going to find you're more comfortable cutting this way or this way. Try to learn both ways. But if you're more comfortable, cutting to your left, use it to your advantage. I'm cutting a little bit heavier here. Heavier. And then I'm going to lighten up a little bit through here. These are body marks where two panels come together. That's going to be pretty much just a cut line because there's no difference in height. It's where two panels join together. So when I do that, I'm cutting similar to a decorative cut that, you know, is not super deep, but I want antique to collect in it. And as I come over the top, I'm deeper here, and then I kind of lighten up here because of the angle that you're running at. And then we'll come in and do this decorative cut. And I'm not cutting real deep on this one. And this badge, we're not going to cut that deep. We are going to push it back to show depth, but we're not going to put much depth on it. And try to make sure you can see where your cuts are, because if you can't see them, it's hard to cut on the line. And the best way to you know, cut on the line is to use your swivel knife. Because there's no magic pill for using it. It's using it will give you the skill. Because I can talk about it, but until you really do it, you won't know. And I do find it helpful to learn one knife, because I can tell if I'm running a different knife. I can be real close to the lines, but I'm not as accurate as I am with the knife that I'm used to. And there's nothing special about this knife. You know, I have personal attachment to it. But, you know, you could use, you know, any knife. You know, you get used to it, you like the feel of it, and you can cut well. The blade, I run a 1/4 inch Berry King, hollow ground. It's a thick blade, but I just control how I use it, and I do everything with it. Do I have other blades? Sure. And this cut, since it's a outside right angle, it's a decorative cut. We're not going to bevel it or do anything. I just want to make it collect antique. And when I'm cutting, I'm trying to use my arm to drag it. I'm not trying to use my wrist. By using my arm, I have more control going in a straight line. It's very similar. If you're familiar with fountain pens, they used to use that because they didn't have computers and everything, and businesses, money was time. Writing, accountants, businessmen, they were doing it all by hand. So, gentleman came up with a writing style method that he taught, and he taught it of using your arm in your writing style. It's called the Spencerian style. Less flourish, but it was designed for businessmen who were writing all day. They could write quicker, less fatigue, and today we use our wrist and our hand a lot more than they did. But it's hard to get used to that style. I haven't. I try to get that look, but I use my hand and my wrist more than I should. I guess you didn't know you'd learn about handwriting today, did you? But there's something magical about using a fountain pen. Okay, I'm coming around here fairly deep, and I'm doing shortcuts so I can keep a good angle to where I can see. Over this tile, I'm going to lighten up the cut. And you'll see me. I tend to do a lot of my cutting on angles. Where I swing to the right is just where I'm most comfortable. Again, when we get down to this bottom one, it's going to be a light cut because it's touching the ground. Here is going to be a decorative cut. And then once I get past where the tire is contacting the ground, I'm going to start going deeper. And then coming back around into the wheel well. And you'll see me when I'm cutting, I'm rolling a lot, but as I'm rolling, I'm moving the back end around so that the blade always stays. So, I'm rolling it and turning it. It's a little bit, you have to get used to that. But that's the trick, so you don't undercut. I just kind of warm up with my cuts. I'll do bigger cuts before I get into these fine details. You may have better luck tackling the fine details first before you start getting tired. That's what's so great about this. Do what works best for you. And you'll see I'm rolling it back so I can control where the cut is. Also, one thing I've found, when I'm starting the blade, I may roll the knife back so I can get a better view of where to put it, and then I bring it back up. That helps me because with the wide blade, yes, it is a little bit more difficult to see around it. But by rolling it, just as you put it in and then bringing it back vertical, it helps me. There we go. Okay. And I'm just looking. I got a mark right here. That's going to be a bugger. I'm not sure how I did that. My fingernail. And I thought they were clipped decent enough, but that's a fingernail mark. Okay. Now we're going to start working our way down to finer pieces. The headlight, it's a little bit proud, so I'm going to cut just a smidge deeper around the headlight lens. But then I'm going to lighten up when I come around here. And come around for the bezel. And if I'm doing a trading card, I'm going to probably drop some of these small details because it's so small. You can see right here how it's pretty tiny. Now you drop this down to a 2x4 card and it's even worse. Now on the grill, this top part is the top edge of the bar. This one is a inner curve, lightly, and this is the bottom of the bar. So this line and this line, I'm going to cut a little bit deeper, and this is going to be a less deep cut. And I'm not cutting that deep. I find that with pictorial and stuff, I do a lot more light cutting than I do with floral. Now when we come to this one, it's going to be more of a light decorative cut. We are going to bevel it. And you'll see I do a lot of my cuts in this direction, then I'll do my vertical cuts after. That I do find a little bit better for me. this is where working with your knife is real important. And we're not even hitting the fine stuff yet. And sometimes I have a hard time seeing, so I may have to spin it around. And also, if my eyes get tired, I put it up for a little bit. Having a lot of light helps me. Because it seems like if I don't, my eyes get tired and I have a harder time. And I may take a break in a little bit. Because my eyes are getting tired. And since this is video, I can. Because I find that if I push too hard, I make more mistakes. Especially on this fine stuff. Okay, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to give my eyes a break. And while I do that, I'm going to put this back in the plastic bag so that it doesn't lose its moisture. And I'll see you in a little bit.